Hey there, my name's Justin Gibbons. That's right, the Justin Gibbons. And welcome to another episode of Hard Games, Hard Issues. We're continuing our adventure in Run Lake with our New Game Plus run. We've just defeated the last giant, who, surprise, is not the last giant we're going to be facing. Spoilers! Spoilers. And today we're gonna talk about an issue that's related to inclusion, something that is a little bit more specific. And that is, in fact, women in games, or at least their characters in games. I just basically wanted to touch on topics that we've seen in the media, around the web, and stuff that you may have heard from Anita Sarkeesian, which, regardless of your opinion of her work, my opinion isn't very high of it. It is at least being a conversation starter. Some of the best conversation starters are from idiots or jerks or people or con artists and, you know, whatever else. Not saying that she is necessarily a con artist, but I mean, honestly, who knows? But her work isn't very inspiring to me, or at least doesn't seem to have the understanding that I would expect from someone who analyzes media, or at least the gravitas, which is stupid to say coming from me. Anyway, let's go ahead and continue back to where we left off here. As you recall, we have already defeated the pursuer up on his plateau up there, which maybe his difficulty stays the same regardless of bonfire intensity up on that platform, and only changes in his designated boss area. So maybe that's why he was easier, or maybe it's because I was hurling a bunch of great resonant souls at him, which is quite famously a very powerful and perhaps broken attack. We'll see. I could just pop down to these lizards down here. I don't think I actually got everything while I was down there. Anyway, I don't think I need to head over here. I think we need to worry about it anyway. Let's go ahead and jump over here. While we were away, you didn't really miss much. I just went back to Majula and dumped out my inventory a bit. And then I did one take of this that I unfortunately had to lose because my headphones ran out of power. I defeated a couple of black phantoms, so I apologize that you missed that. Hope don't pick up those items. I really don't want to stuff a bunch more junk into my inventory box there. So let's use that soldier key and jump up here. All right. So anyway, women in games, and I'm not really going to touch on women in the games industry. I don't know a whole lot about that, to be honest. And I guess you could easily say I don't know a whole lot about women. I don't really know a lot about any of the topics that I'm going to be discussing here. So it should be fair to say that that even though I don't know anything, doesn't mean I'm not going to share my opinion. Please understand that while I am sharing my opinion or my thoughts, that I'm going to be wrong, and I'm not afraid to be wrong. I'm very, very happy to be wrong, and you're welcome to yell at me or say how stupid I am. I will absolutely take the hit. Now, I do like this area here and this giant head because it is something that we get to see a little bit later, which is kind of interesting, I think, because you have the placement of this giant right here, but this actually goes to a different memory. Which it seems out of place now that I think about it. I've actually heard some people say that this head looks surprisingly a lot like Banhart, which I don't know where he comes from, but I'm not going to delve into the lore of this game so much. Alright, so now this is the part of the game where I kneel into a ball and I wait around for a minute. No, I just hit a button and it goes. Whee! So female characters in games. Let's, I guess, start with this game right here. What are the women in this game? There's a handmaiden, as I recall. Oh, well, I suppose before we start here, I should say that what I'm trying to be doing today, if you're unfamiliar with the format, is I'm going to discuss the topic, and I'm either going to solve it or I'm going to reach the end of a designated area. In the case of this game, it's going to be the Ruin Sentinels. So I'm going to try to solve the issue of female representation in games before I get there. And so far, I'm not doing a very good job. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. Let's go ahead and get over here. Can I do that? Nope. I got to go around these precarious ledges. Oh, boy. Yeah, he's going to hang out over there. So this game has a couple of women. I think they're... In previous entries in this series, there were perhaps a few more notable females that were running about, or were barbarians wielding larger equipment and stuff like that. In this game, I believe there's only Lucatiel of Mira, who is probably one of the more fascinating NPCs in the series. Even though we actually don't get to spend very much time with her at all. Whoa! All right, that was excellent. And I guess that's actually probably one of the big detrimental factors about this game too. Oh, buddy. Is that there really is not very much use of the women, or use of the characters in the stories, I should say. Not just the women in general, but the dudes as well. Which is kind of unfortunate, because past games have done very good jobs of having the lore kind of circle back around to the characters. Like, there's one character I'm very interested in, and it is of course the witch seducer, who she takes over. She seduces Alfred from his test, and all we really get are the armor sets of them. And I feel like in games past, we got to learn a little bit more about the characters and their involvement that were actually in the game, more so than just these ancillary characters. Maybe we'll learn more about them later or something, I guess, but in future DLC, but it feels kind of empty. Oh, there you go, buddy. Oh, hey, dude. What are you doing down here? Sweet. Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy. Oh, I blew it. I have... Oh, jeez. I guess you guys are still pretty threatening, huh? Flame magics. Get you every time. Open this up here. So I'm very interested in the witch character in this game, and I certainly would have been a little bit more... Oh, see, there we go. This guy was at least nice enough to say pointless on top of that. Anyway. Like in previous games, you had Witch Beatrice, who we learned a little bit more about her, and she was an actual summon, and there's some story around her and the actual world that's happening right there. Whereas in this game, who the heck is Alva the Wayfarer? And is he doing anything with this current time? Did he have any sort of involvement? You never actually summon the guy. And while there is a witch phantom who attacks you one time per bonfire aesthetic or a new game, in the Belfry Soul, I keep hitting the wrong button. That's the problem with this bow. Oh, I thought that they would explode. Oh yeah, speaking of Lucatiel of Mira, so she's actually in the game, and she's someone interesting.
What is it?
I guess we'll actually listen to her dialogue here since I'm talking about it.
And you don't know me. Things are better that way. You are an odd one. Normally, people keep a safe distance when they see this mask. But you... I'm called Lucatiel. From the land of Mira to the far east, across the mountains. They say Drang Lake brims with powerful souls. and so I came to claim my share. But what a strange place. Even the rumors did not prepare me. You are an odd one indeed. I've always made a point of avoiding people, while you've made a point of engaging me. I can see that you are mid-journey. If you require assistance, I will help you. I come from Mira, a land of knights. My sword is always ready. Don't hesitate to call upon me. Whatever happens, I won't be missed.
Aw, don't say that, Lucatiel.
You are an odd one indeed. Well, I can see that I come from... Don't hesitate.
And after this, she disappears. So her arc is very interesting. And while she does spit out quite a lot of description and dialogue about herself personally over the course of the game, she, at the very least, does keep it briefer than other characters. Like Chancellor Welger, oh my god, just... that guy would not shut up. But she'll tell you a little bit about herself, and she actually has some actions in this game where, unfortunately, a lot of the other characters don't do too much themselves, like unique animations, or have like anything really revealing about themselves that they share. So she has kind of like a whole arc throughout the game, and it's one of the more interesting ones. Like Bernhardt, some people like him a whole lot. I don't think he's that interesting. Maybe they're just fascinated by his accent. But Lucatiel, like, she's an interesting female character, and maybe there's some tropes you want to slap on to her or something like that, you know, because she is wearing what someone could argue is men's clothes, and then also the mask of a man, if you wanted to go that route. I'm not going to sit here and try to loop this into some sort of terrible depiction of women by saying that it's a man with boobs or a man with tits or something like that, because I think that lessens her character in general. Lots of different kind of women in the world, and to try to stuff her into a trope really diminishes not just her character, but I think women in general, because there's lots of people who do fall into certain archetypes, who do like to wear pants. And if a woman likes to wear pants, does that automatically make her the trope of a man with tits? No, not at all. Now, I'm not a woman, so I can't say specifically if, you know, her depiction is accurate or anything like that. But I don't feel like there's anything that strikes out to say what is a woman when I look at her. You know, I don't think she's going out of her way to define what a woman is. And I think it's also important when you're having female characters in games that they do take advantage of the things that make them women in the first place. And I guess that's where, on some level, I can agree with Anita's, as much as I disagree with much of her work. On some level, that I can disagree with her analyzation of a man with boobs. Because, like I said, it's important, absolutely 100%, have something unique about that woman, have something to do with her femininity, and excel in that regard. Of course, that doesn't necessarily mean we need to equate it to 100% weakness, although in general, the physiology of women is less designed to be physical than men. I mean, I would say that I am absolutely one of the weakest men out there in the world, but I'm still, like, super weak, so just no power within my body whatsoever. But I can still overpower, like, women who are on the same level, who would be the same age bracket as me, generally the same amount of activity as me as well, and maybe even a little bit more. Like, obviously, there's definitely been some times where I have been bested by women quite handily, in fact, because I was being reckless, not being reckless, but being an idiot and or chauvinistic. So Lucatiel in general does have, I'm trying to think of like the qualities that Lucatiel has that still define her as a woman, without trying to go so far, because you'll have that in a lot of like Japanese games that will go out of their way to have a character seem too feminine, just so that you're reminded, how this is a woman. And Lucatiel's kind of interesting in that way, in that she doesn't have a lot of those characteristics, but I feel like there is a certain level. There's a certain level of feminine strength within her, I would say. And that doesn't mean, like, you know, powerful vagina, that blood strength. You know, nothing that's stereotypical, but something that's like it's not in. She doesn't have this brash anger about her. She doesn't have this level of recklessness. She does get, you know, I'm going to say she does get emotional in places, you know, but just men get emotional too. There's lots of men who get emotional in this game, for sure. But she gets a level appropriate where I've seen women do the same thing. I've known lots of women who've behaved in similar ways, and there's lots of different kinds of women in the world, and I certainly don't know. I'm not like the be-all end-all a descriptor of women, but on some level I do have like a sense of people. I kind of needed that barrel, but whatever. I was hoping we'd get to meet a fellow down there, but it looks like I'm not going to have that opportunity. Oh well. Instead I'm going to get eaten by dogs. Eaten by dogs. I'm pretty sure these guys just drop souls, so, right? Yeah. Dogs. Just digging myself a hole when I'm trying to talk about, oh yeah, you know, women, they're emotional, you know, that's what. But I feel like there's a certain level of emotion that you would expect to see from a female character, and I believe that Lucatiel exhibits the right amount without diving too far into that. And she exhibits a level of weakness, and I'm not saying a weakness is inherent to women. What I'm saying instead is that the level of weakness that she displays is one that is not stereotypical of women. It's the same kind of weakness that men can inherit, and there's lots of moments where men are inherently weak in this game and in general. And Lucatiel's arc in this game, you actually do find out that, so she interestingly is fighting for her brother. So you kind of have, if we're talking on tropes again, you have this arc where she's trying to, you know, save a loved one, which is often the kind of tale that a lot of people, and a lot of critics right now, are saying is a trope of men in games trying to save their daughter. I have to find my daughter. Trying to save their daughter or their wife or someone was stolen in a way. And her brother, who you later fight as a phantom, in his own right is... Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, boy. That was very poorly done. Wow. See, that's what happens when you panic in this game. All of a sudden you get thrown off your guard, you start rolling your... Oh, jeez. You start rolling at all the wrong times. It turns into a very bad situation. But anyway, her arc, you know, and she has forgotten a lot of her things, and she kind of mentions some of the stuff offhand, and some of her items. And when I was getting down on this game about not showing all the items, like some of the items that you find from her, like specifically her sword, and her brother's sword if he happens to drop it. We'll talk about their relationship to an extent. Not very much, but at least a little bit. And you get the sense of why she was fighting this whole time. which a lot of times it was for her brother, which she has forgotten, which is an ongoing theme with this game. Just people forgetting stuff. I think I ran in the wrong direction here, and someone's going to sneak up on me in a moment. Which maybe will suck, maybe won't, whatever. We'll see where it goes. So, it has to make you wonder, is the trope of her finding her brother or finding her loved one bad? Is it instantly good because it's a woman finding a man at that point? And I think that's a problem I have with a lot of critics, is that you do a simple role reversal and all of a sudden everything's okay again. As if the trope was the problem, but the minute that you reverse it, everything's fine. And I guess because at that point, it's not necessarily a trope, because it's entirely less common. And on one hand, I absolutely agree. It's good to have things changed or mixed up. It's kind of nice, but at the same time, it's also a little predictable too. On the one hand, it's absolutely understandable because we're often fighting for loved ones. The one thing that is truly consistent across just about absolutely everybody is that we all want to be loved. Or we have people that we do love. So it's very, very easy to be empathetic with that very, very simple and that very, very general plot device. I mean, we as humans in general, we're a very social kind of creature. One of the things, part of the reason why people call sociopaths is because they're very antisocial a lot of the time. I forgot to light this. And that is why I did not show up there. What do you know? Well, so we're back to this. That's fine. Gives me more time to talk about the issue and try to solve it. That's the point, right? That's probably why this game is more broadly accepted, or is less criticized for things that it does, and why you have like Nintendo being criticized for their level of inclusion. Like, they're getting criticized right now for their Mario Kart, because Mario Kart doesn't have as many black characters, or the female characters that it has are Peach and Daisy. Very traditionally lambasted those two characters, I guess, for being girly in a lot of ways. Which I guess maybe if you want to call me a member of the patriarchy, I kind of like girly girls. I don't think there's anything wrong with a girl being girly. You know, back in my day when men were men and women were women. Here, let's get you turned around, eh, buddy? Phantoms actually did this for me the last time I played this game. Very nice. What a nice little mechanic. Lots of Bastille. A lot of fun out here. Is it Bastille? Bastille? I don't know. No idea. I'm gonna have to swallow some humanity here in a minute, I think. Like that bad boy. Oh! Flame. Dear Flame. I remember the first time coming up to this guy, I thought he was gonna... Iron Arrow. Let's talk to you a little bit.
Oh, why can't they all be this easy? Shadow.
Maybe people will be upset when I say this, or maybe they won't. But I'm going to say that bad characters are not exclusive to women. Case in point, we've got our blacksmith right here, and he is the most uninteresting. The most. So I don't remember this chest in the last game. I think I may have forgotten it last time. What are you gonna do?
Light 'em up, gonna live it down.
Set it to light. Whoosh. And I guess I'll take a nap here. Get those enemies all respawned up. I probably should have. Now he's hammering over there. Right into the chest. It should also be noted that I'm playing a woman right here, which I think makes Lucatiel's character interesting in that she does kind of cultivate a relationship with me. Now, if you want to talk about, I guess your lesbian gay stuff, which I want to reserve for later, you could do that. But I think there's a level of sort of like friendship, like female to female friendship, that you cultivate when you're playing a female character, and then you go through Lucatiel's journey.
Oh, that dear flame.
God, he's such a bad character. Flame.
I ought to flame.
I forget when this guy starts doing work for
I
you.
ought to flame.
Is it when you get the dull ember, or is it when you do some other? I think it is. I think it is when you get the dull ember. Anyway, let's take another nap here, just fill up that health. And that's kind of the interesting thing about games, is that the experience you have is innately going to be different, not just in how you play it or the mechanics that you choose to indulge in, but also the story that you create by the way that you play. That's the most interesting thing about games and the interactive medium. Kind of the problem that I have with a lot of like these other games as art that have been coming out, because they're not very artful. They're really more narrative driven, really more linear, which linearity isn't a bad thing necessarily, but games as art, in my opinion, a game is not art unless it really takes advantage of the medium in some way. It's kind of what art is, right? Something where you utilize the medium to its potential, to innovate, to express. Like, but then again, I guess you have, like, you got that soup can, right? And that's art. I guess sometimes art is about subverting those things, but I don't think the intention of Gone Home was necessarily, let's see, I've just subverted myself. No, it absolutely, the idea of that game was to subvert the genre, which is unfortunate because the youth of the genre was very much a movie kind of style, in that it was pretty shallow. It is, come on, video games are shallow. But there's nothing wrong with some of the shallow nature of some games, just like there's nothing wrong with the shallow nature of some movies. Like, I love a good action movie. I love a good comedy that, you know, isn't trying to necessarily, like, not all comedies are shallow and not all action movies are shallow. But I enjoy a good shallow comedy or action, or something stupid, as one could describe or say. Like, there's absolutely nothing better than, you know, something that you can just enjoy for being silly or dumb. Now, sometimes those silly or dumb things, you know, do a poor job of representing people and aren't smart. And in those cases, it's not necessarily a good thing. Like, I think there are definitely some older movies or some older TV shows which have kind of a poor outlook on women or men or gays in general. One of my favorite movies of all time is Waiting, and I have a hard, like, looking back at it now, I kind of have a hard time justifying the game that they play, and you'll know what I'm talking about when I say it. There's probably some element to it that is really, really smart that I'm just not getting right this second, but oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. Radiant Life. Oh, God, why did I pick up that? Now I've got to go through and get rid of that. But anyway, back on the topic of women. On those women, right? Am I right, guys? It's difficult to, I think, convey women accurately, especially when, I guess you could say, the industry is dominated by men. at least when, in my anecdotal evidence, I have seen there have certainly been a couple of very male-dominated places of work. Not to say that they were keeping women out, it's just that's how it was set, hired, and there were definitely women in the workplace for sure. And they seemed to know pretty much everything that they were talking about. But the game that they were making was different than the kind of game that she was playing, or she was interested in playing. I remember very specifically her talking about how she just likes stories with certain characters, and not necessarily like female characters, but like she likes certain just character depictions. That was kind of the thing that she was into. I'm killing my axe here by running around. Did she have something on her face? What is that thing on her face? Pilgrim Belclare. So here's another lady. Oh, is that like the lion? Yeah, I think that's the lion thing, maybe? Yeah, I think that is. So here's another lady. There's lots of ladies in this game that are summons, but you don't really learn a lot about them. I would like to know more about Pilgrim Belclare, but you really don't get to know more. Like, that was the thing. Again, like I said before, which Beatrice you actually got to know a little bit about based on the armor and the equipment that you picked up from her. Should have thrown on the stone ring so I could knock these guys off balance a little bit more. Just sloppy play. Just oh, yeah, real sloppy. Just doing a piss poor job dodging this guy. That was my chance right there. Oh, I'm dead. Nope, nope. Playing poorly. What are you gonna do, right? Alright. Just gotta get those timings down, I guess, right? Anyway. So, is it a problem of, like, bad representation of women in games, or then also the lack thereof? Absolutely both of those things, for sure. I mean, it's absolutely 100% worth noting. Uh-oh. What's up, buddy? You and me? Get you going. I would argue that that was that hit. What are you gonna do, right? Oh. Let's get that sippy. Take my thippy. There you go. Alright. Oh, I just let the... Oh, now I don't want her to die. Now why... Oh, boy. Now why would one have that feeling? Oh, she's gonna die. I'm gonna kill her. All I needed was one more hit, but I was a coward. I was a coward. And that's interesting. Now, was it because she was a woman that I wanted to save her? No, I had grown attached to that character. I think it's very easy for people to make the argument that because she's a woman, you have like a closer affinity to her. Maybe that's the natural male response. And I think there are a lot of people on both sides who would actually argue for that. That's like a natural expectation, and maybe it is to some degree. I'm not an anthropologist or a sociologist. I'm neither of those things, and I'm not very smart either. I'm not a very good judge of these kind of topics, or the expert that one should go to. I'm just playing a video game, and then generally talking about what I've seen in the media. So, you know, I'm basically just as good at analyzing these topics as any games journalist out there, in that I am absolute dog shit at it and shouldn't be trusted as a primary source. And that's valid. It's totally okay to be wrong. It's 100% absolutely okay to be wrong, so long as you are also willing to be corrected. And I am totally willing to be corrected on the topic of men versus women. Men versus women! Why do these women all want these games, man? Man, they want to get in my game and they just want their stuff in it. I don't want them in it. And to some degree, I do have to agree with those sentiments. Like, I can understand where someone would be coming from, where they just want to play the game. Like, I like games a certain way. Like, I don't need every game to have some element of being all female, kind of cast kind of stuff. There are definitely a couple of movies I don't watch, and I think that's fine. And a lot of people will argue that that's not what these people are fighting for. That's not what the Anita Sarkeesians of the world are looking for. But that is, she kind of does outright say in a couple of her videos very explicitly that, you know, she wants more big budget games like these, or, you know, to have like these female characters. And, you know, she goes and shows like Princess Zelda dressed up with a sword and a shield and what have you. And so, like, changing up stuff, I'm not opposed to. It's totally fine to have, I think, major game characters change up that stuff. But it should also be understood that there's a time and a place for every game, and sometimes original creations are much better than trying to subvert the games that are already out there. So, I'm totally fine. I'm totally fine for these things. I think there's room in the world, there's an infinite amount of space in the digital medium for all of these things to exist at once. If all of these studios have the time to make each individual thing, that's something that's up to question. And how they should prioritize these elements, whether it's based on who it's going to sell to, what the mass market appeal is. I'm sure there's lots of research out there right now. Look at this guy. Holy cow. There's lots of market research out there that's well beyond me that probably goes into the topic about who's actually playing games, who's the one buying certain games, and where the spending is. I guess the classic thing is, I'm just going on and on, even though I've already beaten the boss. There's a lot I want to say about this topic, and a lot more I could discuss, but I suppose I should end it here. That's kind of the running theme, isn't it? The running theme is that I'm never going to have enough time to actually discuss these issues at a reasonable length, or one, at the length that they deserve, and two, at the level of intelligence that they deserve. Is just never going to happen. So once again, we've proven that Dark Souls New Game Plus is a lot easier to discuss and to play and discuss than it is to try to solve the issues of women in video games. So I hope that I've offended everybody here today. Please write into me and tell me what an idiot I am, and maybe we can discuss that. And I'm happy to change my tune. Absolutely 100% happy to change my tune. Please do let me know, and I'll consider everything, and I'll bear my opinion there. Please make me change my mind. That is absolutely the number one thing I want to do. So anyway, that's enough of me rambling on and standing here in empty space. Anyway, keep it sexy, keep on rocking, and always let the dark powers take a hold of you. Bang bang, blah 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 blah, boom boom. And always remember, I'm the biggest fucking idiot on the planet.